Welcome back to another edition of Smart Driving Cars. We're glad you're here. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alan.
Hey, good afternoon, Fred.
Another semester about to begin? Yikes.
This will be the beginning of my 54th year at Princeton and 50, I guess,
Is that
actually
some kind of record?
56.
It's
I
got to
don't
be.
know. No, it's not. Who knows? I mean, there are many of us who somehow can't find another job and just hang on dear life. And, it's bare subsistence.
Right. So
It actually really, never mind. Who
uh,
cares?
from the latest Smart Driving Car newsletter, a big week for SpaceX. Starship Flight 10 checked off a whole bunch of boxes, it seems.
Whoa, I mean, we had to go through 3 rounds before, it finally went. But and to me, just how spectacular. I mean, the number of things that have to go right to be able to accomplish that is just non-trivial. And once I guess they sort of get a ground problem out of the way, and they get the weather problem out of the way. I mean, the countdown beam. I mean, was it actually essentially right on the second of what they were the opening of the window. I mean, too. There's not even a hiccup at T minus 40 seconds, and boom. And that I mean, to have it work that well. Actually, the fact that they lost one of the engines on the way up on the booster actually, made the thing perform even better because the redundancy that they have there, no problem. And to bring it around so that the buoy camera um, is right there, after watching, part of the sheet metal flow away and get eaten up. I mean, the controllability and of course the ability to forecast the trajectory, to be able to put it and keep it on the right trajectory, such that except for maybe the wave action caused the camera to quite miss at least part of that. I mean, you know, wow, and done by a private company with largely their own money. I guess, there's, some things get subsidized or whatever by the government, whatever, but ooh, I mean, that it's just fundamentally impressive.
And the way they're able to capture the images and
Oh,
stream the video, I mean,
whatever. I mean, and
amazing.
whatever, and do all that. Well, I mean, the really valuable piece, I think, of SpaceX is Starlink. I mean, they put up dummy satellites there because, of course, it was on a suborbital trajectory. It needed another, 1,000 kilometer per hour speed to actually hit orbital. But um, to put them out there to actually deploy them. The next time they do, they'll deploy real ones. And these things, because of their size, just increases the bandwidth. And I don't know, 10 years from now, do we even have cell towers anymore? I don't know.
Kind of looked like a giant Pez dispenser.
Yeah, no. That's what they call it. They call it a Pez dispenser, which it is. I mean, it dispenses. Look, I mean, why not use somebody else's idea? I mean, you don't have to go out and why fold them and unfold them more than you have to, and why not just boom, 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 and so I I would imagine on the first orbital one, they will probably put good ones in there. Why not get some value out, some real value out of that? Put a bunch of those guys out there, and then the bandwidth that you're creating in the end, the latency, because you just have to send the signal up and then around and then down, the latency in the communications of, and well, it's always been the theory of low Earth orbiting satellites. Why it's great. It's essentially the same as, going up to a tower and putting it in a cable and taking it under the ocean and, getting it over to wherever. Whoa. Now, and it seems like when we talk to people in China or Europe or whatever, there isn't any latency, even though it's coming, through under at the bottom of the ocean. But the path length of the communications is about the same as boom. They do that, and they have, there's a lot of sky up there to put a lot of these things out there, so that it's not really bandwidth constrained. And the power requirement, a little bit more to be able to send your signal up to that. But it may very well be that, that's not even a problem. And now all of a sudden you're sitting there with you don't need cell towers. Well, in Princeton, we didn't build any cell towers because, of course, they wouldn't be beautiful, or I guess, so we really have no cell community. We might as well be in the, no, it's not quite that bad, but it isn't good. But all of a sudden, any place in the world, everybody talk about equality of bandwidth and what that does to society and what that does to everybody and what that does to the economy and what that does and what that's going to mean to NVIDIA in terms of the number of chips that they have to build in the data centers to be able to handle all the communications and the information and all the whatever that we're talking. And because of the affordability, and the scalability of all this, which is, still following Moore's law, communications costs and all it's going to zero. I don't know. Seems like a bright future I can't wait to talk to the children about it starting next week, and we can, because it's going to be their lives and whatever. I'm done. I'm gone. But whatever. So it is. Hey, it's at least some good news out there in the world, which it's tough to find these days.
Right. Well, you highlight in the newsletter a report by Professor Stephen Polzin, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, at Arizona State University's Enos Center for Transportation. It's titled "As Transportation Changes, So as Travel Changes, So Must Transportation Governance," and he explores travel safety and transportation funding here.
Right, and I think he wrote it, sort of in as basically to try to do some influence as to where the reauthorization of, how one is funding the highway system, and it funds most of mobility in the United States, and really through gas taxes is where the money comes from, and in the end, it has been mostly about infrastructure, because that's been sort of where the public sector has really played the role as providing out there the infrastructure for everybody to use, so that we can all, get to the places and so on to get that we'd like to get to. It's on us to buy the cars or the means, but at least the public sector has been out there providing the way, what we're going to use to get between it. That's broad generalization, but that's where most of the money goes. And of course, the construction industry, and it funds that, and, everybody's kind of really happy about it. But then, the safety question seems to be looming, continues to loom over transportation. I mean, it is kind of unfortunate that every day we basically a plane load of people die, because of the wonderful mobility that most of us have, and most of that wonderful mobility is through the automobile and the invention and the creation of the automobile, which is just a fantastic mode of mobility. It does have some drawbacks, I mean, and whatever, and whether or not it how much it hurts the environment by its use of either gasoline or electricity and so on is part of it. The other sort of big part of it is the extent to which it causes harm, the crashes, and of course the deaths. And of course, one sits around and says, "My goodness, if a plane crashed every day and killed 100 people, give or take, the poor airline industry would be in deep caca, as one might say. Yipes! It would be in big trouble." But the airline industry just doesn't provide that personal value contribution that the automobile does, in terms of not only its logistics and moving and putting food on our tables and allowing us to put food on our tables, but all it does to get us to work, get us to school, get us to go on vacation. I mean, it's just the value proposition is enormous. So as a society, we're willing to, let's say, eat, say, okay, yes, plane load deaths a day. We of course would like to have vision zero, which it goes to zero, but it's that. And I think one of the things that I most appreciated about the way Steve presented it is sort of been my angle on this whole thing for a while, is that the safety challenge associated with automobile mobility, which is essentially the 90+% of the way people get around. If you look at the 1.1 billion person trips a day that are taken in something other than by walking or by an airplane, those trips are taken one way or another with an automobile. And so since it's so valuable in allowing us to get the value associated with that 1.1 billion trips every day, get to work, get to school, get to the dentist, go pick up milk, whatever the heck it is, go shoot pool, who knows, go shoot hoops. As a society, we decide that value is just overwhelms the 100 deaths, and who knows how many crashes per day, and all the fixing you have to do with that. And so, the the reward is so great that we accept the risk. We'd like it. Of course, everybody wants it to go to zero. We'd like to get it to go to zero. We'd like to reduce it. But I think one of the things that Steve points out, which I like to point out all the time, is that if you look at what is a player in those crashes, those deaths, those fender benders, those whatever, it's overwhelmingly it's the human in the loop there, and it's just not just your really good driver or your nominal driver or even your poor driver. It's the misbehaving driver. It's so overwhelming. It's just the misbehavior associated with consuming this form of mobility that provides so much value to us is really the thing that should be pointed to as the thing that needs to be fixed. We just need to behave better. But we're human, or at least, I'm sure, Fred, you never misbehave. I know I always misbehave. I'm just a terrible driver. There's just There's just way too much tailgating, which is misbehaving. There's too much running red lights. It's misbehaving. There's too much overconsumption of alcohol. That's misbehaving. There's too much of, there's really way too much text. That's misbehaving. You know, those are misbehaviors. There's too much of, oh, I got to go fast. The wind through my hair in my convertible as I'm exceeding the speed limit by who knows what. The rush, this isn't, Six Flags Great Adventure, joyride. This is you're out on New Jersey Turnpike or Nassau Street or Cleveland Lane out here. I mean, really, must you misbehave? Must you completely disregard our speed limit signs in Princeton? I want us to put up signs that say, um, uh, if you can't obey, please find another way. Why are you in here speeding on our roads? Go speed on somebody else's road. They're going to tell you the same things. Hey, when they speed on your road, you're probably going to tell them the same thing too. But why are you exceeding the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit? I mean, is it, oh, just got to get there. Okay, well, so then the question is if it really is misbehavior, okay, I would like you to take my assumption that it is misbehavior. How do you deal with the misbehavior? How do you tell Apple? How do you tell Apple that when I'm in the car, it asks me if I'm driving, and I can answer no, and my phone comes alive because I've told it I'm not driving. When it has a camera looking at me here, it has a camera looking out there. It knows the steering wheel is here. It probably sees my hand on the steering wheel. It sees me moving. It knows I'm driving. Why does it set me up to lie? So I can just do this. Actually, I love lying. And so I just hit that and get all kinds of pleasure. Oh, I fooled it. I fooled it. I'm so great. I could fool my phone into telling it. And so now I get all this. Boom. I drop it on the floor and reach down and boom, and I kill people. How is that permitted? How can Apple sell a phone? How can they put that in their app? Sorry. So I think what Steve is really, hopefully trying to do here is say, hey, and if I can't build another lane of freeway that's going to solve that problem. I can't, smooth out some surface that's going to, it's not the irregular surface that's causing these crashes. It's not the fact that we don't have enough capacity. It's not the fact that, there's too much up and down. It's not an infrastructure problem. It's a human in the loop problem. Now, of course, you could say, hey, the best thing to do is let's have all the vehicles be automated, and therefore we solve it by taking the human out of the loop. Or there's an end to driving in which, oh my goodness, nobody's allowed to drive. You know who the last people are that are going to give up driving? The people that get the thrill out of going fast, out of, running up my behind, when I'm there, out of, whatever, going through a red light. They'll be the last ones. So we've got to be successful all the way until the end before we start capturing the value that we were trying to capture in the first place. What? So automated vehicles aren't the solution to this, I don't think. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't have a solution. I have no idea how to solve this one. I'm ill equipped to solve it. I never took a sociology course. I never took a course in human behavior or whatever. Took a bunch of math courses. But in fact, it would be nice if somehow we took some of the, unfortunately, the infrastructure money and said, hey, not all of it, but a reasonable chunk, and said, let's unleash people like Steve and others who might have the capability to focus on this misbehavior issue. Really focus on. We've known that it's misbehavior for. I mean, they've done. They've. But 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 I don't think there's been the effort. I don't think the research has been respected by esteemed academicians. We'd rather figure out how to, other junk. Anyway, whatever. Sorry, but I just loved it. That Steve put that in there. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I read it and found it. Just thought maybe everybody else should take a look. I think it's important.
And the link is in the newsletter for
Yeah,
everyone. We encourage them
yeah.
to click it.
Click
Taxi
it. Just
drivers
click
in
it.
New York City, Alan, got some local TV coverage for their call for the governor to stop Waymo's driverless cars in the city. Former Mayor de Blasio chimed in too. I saw online calling it a really bad idea. And you had some comments.
Well, I don't have any comment. I don't, I don't understand why they're there. It's not my mentality, but whatever. Great. It's kind of a shame. One would hope one would go where somebody really wants you, where somebody says, hey, you're going to provide a lot of good here. We'd love to have you. I looked for some other articles that that some other TV stations, for the, I guess this is the sort of uh, left wing TV. I tried to look, maybe right wing TV was saying, "Oh, we love these guys." I couldn't find it, but hey, maybe I am not very good at search, so my bad. Somebody send me some, and I'll be glad to put it in next. I couldn't find any.
Teslarati, meanwhile, is reporting that Waymo has confirmed a massive fleet expansion in the Bay Area, at least 875 vehicles there, apparently.
Yeah, great. I hope that I'm assuming that there are people in the Bay Area that say, why isn't it 8,000? Why isn't it 80,000? Why isn't it 800,000? I mean, one would think that at the beginning, the opportunities, the value proposition is so great that the demand for it is so great that it's supply constrained. And maybe it is, okay, and maybe in a week they'll announce that it's not 800, it's going to be 8,000, and 6 months from now it's going to be 80,000, and so on. And again, um, um, great, wonderful, wonderful that it's expanding. No, seriously, it's wonderful that it's expanding.
Well, Fortune magazine has this headline: Tesla self-driving cars are being tested in Boring Company tunnels. Boring is another of Elon's companies, by the way, for those who don't know. They're doing that in Las Vegas. But
Is boring this or is boring? Yeah, I think that's a boring, but go ahead. Yeah.
full autonomy, they say, is still a ways off. This would seem like a pretty easy way to implement FS full
Hey,
self-driving. And
a no-brainer. I mean, 50 years ago, we were proposing PRT in Vegas. The automation, the safety was no problem as long as but you need an exclusive guideway, and we had this wonderful designs, that would put individual like pods, personal rapid transit, and it run from casino to casino, and mobility, and And the goofy part of our idea is that, of course, we were going to make the rides free. And then people would ask, well, how now are you going to make it free? Where are you going to get the money? I said, all we're going to do is it's just like at the airport, we'll put slot machines in there and we'll let them play the slots while they're riding. And the revenue that we're going to make on the slots is easily going to pay for the, I mean, uh, uh,
If the revenue isn't in Las Vegas to pay for it, where is the revenue?
and plus you're providing. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, and and
You were ahead of your
what,
time again, Alan.
and trust me, we were so stupid. We didn't even know that we had no chance. Okay, uh, for two reasons. One was, of course, the taxi cab companies. If you take away their meat and potatoes, they're not happy campers about this. Okay. But the real number two thing is we thought that the problem in Las Vegas was mobility. It's not. Okay. Because we thought, oh my goodness, you just put the station right there, right next to the gaming areas and whatever in each of the hotels and whatever. The hotels, once they have you in there in their gaming area, they don't want you out of there until you have nothing left. And then they just throw you out the back door. I mean,
The,
oh
the
my
goal the
goodness.
goal is
They
immobility.
the goal is in mobility. They don't want you leaving. I mean, you have no idea what time it is. You can't find the door. Okay. Until you don't have any money left and somebody just throws you out. I mean, so I mean,
Stay where you are. We'll bring you the
I
drinks.
was so naive. I can't believe how naive we were. How naive, and here now, and it's really tough if you put it up in the air. Here, the beauty of what the Boring Company has done in Las Vegas is said, my goodness, we have this machine that can easily make the holes. My goodness, instead of getting between the places above ground where it's tough to make it beautiful and so on and everything and whatever it's up there and geez, let's just put it underground. And they've done it. And I've ridden in it. And geez, if your automated system can't do that, whoa, I mean, because there's no kids chasing balls down there. there, there's 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 actually nothing to run into,
Right.
really. And they argue, oh my goodness, the light show as you're driving through there might screw up the sensors. Well, change the light show. Do you really need that light show? Actually, why do you even have windows you can see through? Why not just, encase it and put whatever screens inside and do whatever light show and the whole darn thing be dark, white, whatever the best lighting condition possible for the automated system. Whatever. What are people thinking? Never mind. Nobody wants to talk to me anyway because I'm a crazy guy.
About what?
I
First,
don't
they wanted
I don't know. I mean, I'm here all alone, but I got my children coming. Classes start on Tuesday, so looking forward to it.
From Electrek, Tesla kept its promise not to settle it, may cost the company an extra $183 million. It seems the publication is pretty consistent in going after Tesla these days.
I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I guess why? I mean, look, it's not over till it's over. There's going to be an appeal. I don't even want to comment on that. Okay.
From Teslarati, Tesla makes a big change to encourage full self-driving purchases. And the push is being made on Tesla's online design studio. They're really highlighting it and trying
Whatever.
to get potential
Yeah,
customers.
I just thought, I thought we should provide, if somebody's going to be anti-Tesla, we got to put somebody, pro-Tesla, and let the readers decide which camp they're in and whatever. It's the politicizing of the media's, you know, a lot of people today complain about it. I don't know, one, and maybe somebody will want to claim that you know, smart driving cars is politicized. I guess trust me, Fred, how much revenue we gotten out of this? Zero. How much whatever? Zero. I mean, poor Fred has been struggling through, and of course I'm wearing shorts today because I can't afford long pants. So you know, we're you know, whatever.
I don't
know.
think folks are going to buy this, Alan. I don't. The cry of poverty.
They're not going to
Anyway.
buy that one. They're not going to buy the poor Alan. Yeah, I keep trying the poor Alan thing. Whatever. No, I couldn't be happier in terms of my personal situation. So.
Well, you include this as well. The Office of Defects Investigation at NHTSA came out with a report saying that Tesla hadn't been submitting incident reports within the required time frame, but it says it was an issue with Tesla's data collection, which has now been fixed, according to the company.
So, you know, I mean, I guess NHTSA doesn't have anything to do that it's doing that. But then the question is, what about the other cars that crashed that have, you know, that fall under this sort of order to because it has whatever, like the Mercedes Distronic system, I think fits under that. They don't even have the data collection as to know that these things crashed. You know, I mean, the amount of they have their head is in the sand. I mean, I guess Tesla's problem is that they have this over-the-air updating thing and so on, and they end up knowing this. And therefore, you know, they better get their data system, because if you know it, you better tell it. What are the other folks doing? Does General Motors know? Does General Motors know when every one of their cars crashes and what that car has in it, and whether or not they should be reporting it within 5 days to NHTSA? And does NHTSA ask them?
And they
my car with Distronics,
right,
when it was on, hit a deer. Okay. Of course, it had no chance to respond. I mean, came out of nowhere. Okay. Did Mercedes report that to Tesla? Oh, to NHTSA? Maybe. Mercedes, please tell me you did. You never told me that you knew. I don't know. Maybe you have a back door into my car to know, you know, every time I pick my nose in there. Great. You know, whatever. And so if they don't know, then where's the investigation of these car companies who, to them, to say, why don't you know? Maybe we should do a recall and make you put in all these cars so that you know if NHTSA really wants you. What are you doing, NHTSA?
At the end of the newsletter, Alan, there's a little update, and I mean a little once again on Handy Ride.
Yeah, I don't know. We're building a book of business and soft launch on September 8th. So we'll see what happens.
Exciting. More to come. So that will do it for this episode, Alan. You can always find us at smartdrivingcar.com. My Tech Reports are at techstination.com. Thank you for spending time with us, for watching or listening, and continue to stay safe and have a great Labor Day weekend.
Have a great Labor Day weekend. Celebrate the summer of 2025. And here we go into a new academic year, and go Tigers and go Stillers.